My name is Nick Marchek. I'm a BIM Specialist here based out of the Philadelphia office with Microsol Resources. I have a background in architecture and have been supporting our clients on consulting basis as well as training here with Microsol Resources for several years now. So today, as Jim mentioned, we're going to talk about how we can design and collaborate better using the Autodesk Construction Cloud. I think Jim was trying to mention this, but just to recap or restate it, please ask any questions you might have throughout the presentation in the chat. We'll try to address as many as we can at the end and hit on as many notes as we possibly can. These usually have some pretty good questions to cover at the end. Let's see here. Oops. All right. Here's a list of what we're going to cover today. This presentation is part 1 of 2, as Jim mentioned, and we'll be focusing on the design phase of a construction project here today. Part 2 will be in 2 weeks, and we'll focus on the same Autodesk Construction Cloud, but with an emphasis on pre-construction and construction phases. There will be some discussion of contract administration as well. So even if you are a designer, you may find the second presentation useful as well at that time. What I want to do is give you a general overview of the products in the ACC, which is the abbreviation for the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Then I'll briefly review how licensing works with these products. That's been known to cause some confusion, so I always like to cover that. I'll review the user interface of the new unified platform with you. And then I'll show and discuss some of the key tools and features of Autodesk Docs, Autodesk BIM Collaborate, and Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro, which are the 3 main products for designers. All of this ultimately, and certainly hopefully, will show you how you can start to collaborate better using the tools provided by the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Okay, so the Autodesk Construction Cloud, or ACC, encompasses 2 different cloud-based platforms. The platform that many of you may be familiar with, which has been around for about 6 years, BIM 360 is the first one, but also the new unified platform that was rolled out in February of this year. Both of these platforms allow project teams to work in a collaborative environment from anywhere and at any time. Using this cloud technology, we're really only limited by our internet connections, as we can run the software locally on our workstations at home or in the field, for example, and then access everything housed in the cloud all through an internet browser or a mobile app on a smart device. This is probably the most valuable asset that the ACC provides. That connectivity gives everyone on a project team real-time access to all the information. Again, at any time and from anywhere. Please keep in mind that some of the products are undergoing name changes currently, similar to the logo that you're seeing here. So what you see today may be slightly different in the very near future. So just keep that in mind as we go through here. The unified platform was developed in order to integrate the tools from BIM 360 with those tools and the mobile app from the PlanGrid product, which was acquired by Autodesk a couple years ago. And this integration, or the integration of these tools, allows users to work in sync both in the office and in the field, from the design phase of a project through to construction, and then sometimes even handover after construction is completed. And this is because all project information deliverables are all housed on one platform. Ultimately, Autodesk's goal was to take the features and capabilities that many of you have spread out across multiple applications or software, and to bring a good bit of those workflows, if not all, onto the unified platform. Autodesk calls this being the single source of truth. At the end of the day, the unified platform and BIM 360 are parallel platforms. No one should feel forced to use one or the other. If you have current projects in BIM 360, or if you've been invited to projects in BIM 360, we recommend staying in BIM 360. If you're just starting out in general, or if you're starting new projects, we might recommend putting new projects on the Autodesk Construction Cloud and the unified platform, more to the point. So what I want to do now is show you a breakdown of what the Autodesk Construction Cloud offers. As you can see, we've tried to break this down by project phase. Now, of course, there's always going to be some overlap between phases and workflows, but this should at least give you a good idea of where the products can fit into the life cycle of a project. Here we show design, pre-construction and planning, construction and operations and maintenance. Now, we won't be talking about all of those products that I'm showing you here today, but I at least want to give you an idea of the depth of what is offered. So in dark blue are the main products that we talk about when discussing the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And I'll go over each of these a little bit more in a couple slides. Light gray means that the products aren't fully integrated into the ACC just yet, but it is certainly in the works, and we are expecting that to happen sometime in the near future within the next year or so. They are products themselves and are somewhat usable in conjunction with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, but they don't communicate all resources aren't easily communicable just yet, but Autodesk is working on bringing all of those things together. We won't be reviewing those today here, but I just want to, again, I want to show you the full breadth of what is available in the ACC. In light blue, that points out products outside of the ACC, but are still integral to the process, namely the AEC collection, which contains software like Revit, AutoCAD, Civil 3D, Navisworks, and a number of others, as I'm sure everyone here is aware. And the ACC is also, the AEC collection is also highlighted here now because all AEC collections provide access to Autodesk Docs, which is the backbone of either of the platforms that we're talking about. And this is why the Autodesk Docs bubble that I'm showing you here in blue stretches across the entire slide across all products. So now simply having a seat of the AEC collection will give you access to the document management portal on either platform. Or if you don't have an AEC collection, purchasing one of the main products highlighted in dark blue will also give you access to Docs as well. Or you can even purchase standalone Autodesk Docs licenses. All are completely viable options depending on your workflow. All right, before we dive into the products, I want to discuss licensing quickly for you. Previously in BIM 360, it used to be a mix of bring your own and hub assigned, meaning that some products, specifically BIM 360 Design, were assigned as a product in your contract manager's Autodesk account, just like you would your AEC collection for Revit and AutoCAD, for example. The rest of the products were actually assigned by your BIM 360 hub administrator in the browser. So this meant that if you invited, say, an outside consultant to your project and they needed to run clash detection, you would actually have to provide and assign the BIM 360 coordinate a product, a license of that, to them through your own BIM 360 site. This licensing workflow has caused a little confusion over the years. So now with the unified platform, all licenses of the products that we'll be discussing are bring your own, meaning that all products are assigned by your Autodesk account contract manager at manage.autodesk.com. And when you are invited to any project on any site, you would use your own license. And subsequently, when you invite one of your consultants to a project, they are bringing their own license to the unified platform instead of you potentially having to assign a seat of your own to them through your hub. Again, like what we currently do with BIM 360. The ACC products are individually purchased products, much like your AEC collection or standalone subscription to Revit or AutoCAD, any licenses that you can purchase. The ACC products are individually purchased, like I said. And again, they can be assigned like your AEC collection or standalone products in your Autodesk account. And as I mentioned a couple moments ago, if you don't have an AEC collection, you can purchase Autodesk Docs as a standalone product. This is useful for users who may not be doing production work in Revit, for example, like a project manager, but they still need access to the cloud to review project models and documentation. So they can purchase, they can get a seat of Autodesk Docs for them to be able to view this information that we'll be talking about today. So now what I'd like to do is give you a brief overview of those 5 main products that were highlighted in dark blue on the previous slide. Then we'll actually walk through BIM Collaborate, BIM Collaborate Pro, and Docs in the browser. Sorry about that. So first and foremost, at the bottom, we have Docs highlighted here in yellow, which I promise we'll be talking about more in greater detail here very shortly. This product is the backbone which supports all of the other cloud products, as I've mentioned a couple times now. Under the design heading, we have two products, BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. BIM Collaborate is a tool used for clash detection, much like a Navisworks, where we can compare two or more models against each other to see what might be clashing between those models. BIM Collaborate Pro provides access to the clash detection in BIM Collaborate, but it is also the tool which provides the ability to work share in the cloud. In other words, what allows Revit users to sync with Central and work in the same Revit model at the same time. For this reason, this is the product that fits most designers' needs. Briefly, and as a precursor to the webinar in 2 weeks, I just want to mention the other two products on this slide. Under the pre-construction and construction heading, the first product that we have is Takeoff here. Takeoff is a new product being offered now with the rollout of the unified platform. This product is mainly focused on estimators, as it has some pretty robust quantification tools that can take your models and your files saved in the cloud, break them down into manageable parts or groups, and then and use that in order to create detailed quantity takeoffs that can then be exported into other cost estimating software. Then we have Build, which provides tools for RFI and submittal management, checklist creation, templates for use in the field for things like daily logs or reports, as well as safety inspections. It also has tools for budget and cost control through items like contracts and change orders. And one of the big additions is the use of the PlanGrid mobile app that many in the construction industry may already be familiar with. Some of these tools could possibly be relevant down the road for you if you're considering using the ACC for construction administration. So for more information on Takeoff and Build, please join us in 2 weeks to review those in more depth. Okay, so now what I want to do is take a look at the user interface for the unified platform. So let me stop my share here real quick and just share this screen here. Okay. Jim, can you let me know, can you see my browser window? Can you just pop in?
Yep, I can totally see.
Perfect. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay, so this is where we find some of the products and tools that I've been mentioning here. Everything you see here is visible through a browser. We can't deep dive into these tools due to the time we have available to us today, but I do want to walk through most of the tools you see listed on the left, which I think are most important with regards to collaboration and kind of the idea of what we're trying to tackle with our discussion today. Let me just switch modules here real quick. So this is the Autodesk Docs product in the browser. So what I want to do, like I said, what I want to do first is review these tools over here on the left. So first, the Files tab. Docs is where you house all of your project files. Think of it as a file repository in the cloud, but with additional functionality, as I'll start to show you here. We can customize this folder that you see here to meet the needs of your project, your office. I'm just showing something basic for demo purposes. And then once you have a file structure set up that meets your office needs, you can actually create a template and carry that file structure over from one project to the next as you start projects. For document control, we use what are called permissions to control the level of an access users have, whether it's by user, by a role that we can assign, or by the company that a user can be part of. These permissions are folder-based, so we can control at a granular level who has access to what information in our project. So if I just click on these three little dots over here to the right of a project and click on permissions, it'll bring a flyout over here. These permissions are, like I said, the folders are folder-based. So for example, maybe you want to invite consultants to your project and you only want them to see your Revit models and some photos. You can set up any number of folders that you would want them, that you want to see when you log in, but you can set permissions such that when your consultants log in, they only see the folders for the Revit models and the folders that you want them to see. So for example, let's say out a little bit. And So what I could do is I can either remove somebody entirely from a folder. Let me pick a different folder here. So I could remove somebody entirely from a folder, for example, or what I can do from this dropdown is I can limit their read-write access. So this is where we would start to control the permissions for our, what users can actually see when they log into our site when we've invited them. Let me close out of this. And then let me go to the 3D viewer here. So if I go through my folder structure here, I just want to navigate to my Revit model here. So if I click on this, the 3D viewer lets us see our Revit models or CAD files or Civil 3D files and the views and the sheets that are associated with it, all from our browser. So let me click on my tab right here. So what you can see is I can toggle between 2D sheets or 3D views here. This is useful for those people on the team who may not be working, may not be in the trenches doing production work, but still need to review progress on a project or a model. They can simply open up the project in a browser window and start reviewing through this 3D viewer. Within the viewer, we have the ability to compare different versions of the models or the files. We can create we would have various markup tools. So if I click on any one of my sheets here, for example, let me just go to this sheet. You can see over here on the right, I have a number of markup tools that are available to me, whether they be text or bubbles, shapes, fill, different types of fill and the like. So, in my opinion, the markup tools are very useful when trying to communicate things, but I don't think we can, coming from the days of redlining on a printed out set and then highlighting those red lines. I don't think, again, in my opinion, we're not completely doing away with that type of workflow, but you can start to at least start to utilize some of these markup tools very quickly and notify people on your team of any markups on specific sheets and the like for your workflow, and let them be able to log into the browser, look at the markups, and then address those in the Revit model itself. We also have the ability to create issues, which are right over here. And we'll be taking a look at that in a little bit more depth here shortly. So if I were to click on this, you can see here I have a list of issues. And again, I'll talk about this a little bit more here in a few minutes. If I take a step back here, I want to show you versioning quickly, or at least discuss versioning. There's no need to name documents V1, V2, et cetera. Like I don't have to name my models with an underscore V1 or V2. Whether we're talking Revit models or even if we're talking Excel or Word documents, for example, you'll see the changes under this version heading here. So if I click on V, you'll see V27. It'll actually give me a full audit trail of all of the versions of this Revit model that have been published to the site here. So you can get to see who updated and when. And we can also, here's where I mentioned where you can compare versions. So if I click on this tool right here and click on compare, it actually brings me into, oops, must have accidentally clicked that. Let me click on compare versions again. So if I select two versions, let me select two different ones here. If I click on compare versions, and now it'll bring me into a new window where I can then select whether am I looking at a 3D model or if I'm looking at specific sheets where I can compare the versions between the two. So again, very useful as far as collaboration and coordination goes, just all through the browser here, using version history and the like. Under the Reviews tab, we can automate the review of drawings or models and documents before actually publishing and sharing that information. You can distribute your files for review and approval using the approval workflows. We have a number of different options under settings in the upper right-hand corner. So if I click on Create Approval Workflow here, from this dropdown, you'll see we have anywhere from 1 to 6 steps for a single person at a time, or 2 to 4 steps for a group of approval workflows. So you can see it's very customizable in what we can do with the internal or external review process for the documents and models that we have in our cloud platform. With transmittals, we can easily create and share transmittals with project teams and track with a full audit trail. Again, similar to what I just showed you with the versioning. So you could create a transmittal from an entire folder, for example, or simply from just a one set of documents. Once we select and hit create, which I won't do here, we can then select a specific individuals that the transmittals are sent to, or we can even select roles or teams. And then you can adjust the view permissions to choose whether recipients see other recipients of the transmittal or not. And then recipients would then receive an email notification letting them know that the transmittal is ready to view, and they can log into the unified platform and review those transmittals. Now, over to the Issues tab, which I promised we were going to get back to here shortly. The Issues tab allows us to identify and communicate areas of concern or improvement. To do this, we would drop pins onto our project documents and add information to the issue in order to convey to the team what we would need. Or we can simply create them here on the page by clicking Create Issue. So I'll show you both kind of workflows here. So if I were to create an issue, here you can see that I can assign issues to the user to the issue itself. They will receive an email notifying them of the issue. I can add due dates, descriptions, attach references, among other pieces of information for these particular issues. Let me just show you quickly. If I go back to my Files tab, I just want to show you on a sheet the same type of a workflow. So we can create issues from a couple different locations. So if I click on Models and Drawings and open up my Revit model one more time very quickly, I just want to show you that the idea of pinning an issue, for example. So let me open up my A101 sheet here one more time. And then you'll see over here that that markup and that markup flyout is going to pop up again. So if I click on this tab right here, let me just pick an issue type. These are all fully customizable. You can set these up however you want that meet your office workflows. I'm just going to pick a coordination issue here, for example, and it's going to prompt me to drop a pin onto my sheet. And then you're going to see this flyout appear, which looks similar to what we just saw in the previous screen where I create an issue. So I can assign it to specific people, provide a ton of, a great many pieces of information for this specific issue, and they will get an email notifying them of that. The most important part being, once I've created that issue, I then get a full list. The Issues tab provides visibility into all issues that were created in the ACEC, no matter whether they were created like on a sheet that I just did now, or if I created the issue directly from here, or if I created them in one of the other products like through clash detection, as we'll look at, through coordination, or even build. All are listed here under my Issues tab, and then I can actually filter through them using this filter tool over here, so that I can then kind of narrow down by date, by type, who it's been assigned to, whatever I need to do kind of to manage the project, for example. This allows us, we don't have to chase emails, other files on your server, since you have a full history and activity log of who did what and when. So if I click on this issue, again, that flyout, now I didn't populate much information in here, but you can see I have access to all that information that we created in here. Like I mentioned, you can also create new categories or types through the issue settings. This allows us to create custom fields, types to match your workflow, as I mentioned. Under reports, this allows us to generate reports based on the information that is housed in Docs. It's based on whatever templates you have set up. So you can pull templates from various resources on the internet, or you can generate your own templates. And then what you could do is you can, from the reports log here, I can say create report. I can select which report I want to use, and then I'm off and running at that point. I can then export that report into Excel or PDF and send it off to somebody else on my team if they needed to review that outside of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Okay, so not in the Docs product specifically, but still part of the collaborative workflow are two other tools from our dropdown over here. Our project admin and account admin, and then also insight, sorry. So under the, we have two options in our drop-down menu, as I mentioned, the project admin and the account admin. The admin functions are exactly what you would assume. Project admin is set for, specifically for admin controls on a project-by-project basis, whereas the account admin is focusing on the entire site itself. The other tool that I want to mention here is the Insight tool. So if I click on this, This is a dashboard that you can customize and track. Maybe I didn't click on it. There we go. Where you can customize and track all of the information that's housed across the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Once this populates, you'll be able to see, you can see the cards that I have here. So you can see and track any issues or delays and what might be causing them, since we have that full audit trail of who is working on what is being assigned to who, and so on and so on. So through the use of the card library that we have here, quote unquote card library, we can create a detailed landing page which gives us information on all sorts of data from your specific project. Here you can see I show the weather conditions on the site, as well as cards for project issues and open RFIs and submittals, design packages, and on and on. I can customize what cards I want visible by clicking on customize here in the upper right hand corner. And then I can select what is most useful to me here. So if I click on card library, this brings up the list of all the various cards that are available to me. And again, this is all customizable. So we have cards that are pulling from the data in the Autodesk Construction Cloud, as well as cards that tie to other partner products and the like. So you can see here, I can tie to Esri here, or I can tie into ID8 Cloud Solutions. So it gives me options to tie into other products and other software, other applications that I may be using in conjunction. That's why I said at the onset, the idea is to try and capture as much information as possible and take as many workflows as possible that you're using for various different products and applications, and bring them onto the Autodesk Construction Cloud and tie all that information together for your use. Overall, the idea is to allow you to see and track any issues or delays and what might be causing them, giving teams the ability to review and analyze some of this data housed in the cloud based on your specific projects. All right, so let's take a look at the two other products that I've mentioned, BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro. So this module, this project, the model coordination, is in both platforms, as I mentioned. It's accessed from the dropdown, as I just showed you, and it's called model coordination. This module allows you to compare two or more models and run clash detection. So if I just select, hopefully this will populate quickly for us, select two models here and say view. Once this populates, we'll be able to see a list of all of the clashes between the two models that I just selected there, my structural and my architectural model. And then we should be able to drill down on them and view each one of them by clicking on some checkboxes that we have over here on the left. There we go. So now if I click on this tool over here, this will give me that list of all of the clashes that I have. So here we have a color-coded 3D model. Let me zoom in on this real quickly. Oops, a little too far. And let me scroll down here and let's just pick this clash here, for example. So you can see it's now going, as soon as I click on this, I can drill down on these clashes. And I can simply, by clicking on the checkbox, it'll take me in the viewer to the specific clash, and I can start to review this. And I have two options. I can either say not an issue, for example, or I can create an issue similar to what we just saw in the previous in Docs. I can create an issue. So if I say create issue, oops, I can drop a pin, and then it's going to bring out, open up this flyout that we've seen already twice now, where I can then assign a user, give it a date, add attachments, so on and so forth. Seems to be going a little slower than I would like, so I'm just going to stop this right now. At that point, then I could see any of those issues in that issue tab that we had seen before. And then I can, let's see, it looks like it did create it. So if I go back to my issues tab, for example, you should once again be able to see that issue that we just created for that clash detection. Ultimately, the idea is that when I create the issue, there we go. Once I create this issue, I now have that audit trail of those issues, and my team is notified of those issues. They can review either in the browser or in Revit, let their consultants know, whatever the case may be. It gives everyone on the team notification that we now have a clash issue that we have that needs to be addressed, and then they can address it and they can come back into the browser and let the team know They can change the status, let them know that it is open, pending, in review, or closed. That's a very brief overview of model coordination, but should at least give you an idea of what is possible with the model and design coordination. Let me just pop back in there. Sorry about that. Pop back into model coordination here real quick. With model coordination, we can view, as I mentioned, we can view the clashes. So we can actually see a clash matrix here that'll populate. So this tells me all of the various clashes between the models that I actually have loaded into Docs here. This can be a little bit confusing, so I can actually, from my drop down here, I can say, just three of these models, whatever the case may be, and click apply. And then it'll kind of break it down a little into a more digestible image here. And then if I were to click on this, it would actually take me into that viewer where I can then drill down on each specific clash if I needed to, for example. I can actually set up what are called views where I can monitor clashes. So let's say we're working with a consultant, they're uploading their model to our site. I run clash detection on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis. I can actually set up views where I can monitor any clashes that I wanted to be monitoring between the two different models. So I'm not trying to, look at my notes from the previous week and try and figure out what clashes I was worried about last week and what I need to be worried about this week. I could set up automated views where I could review, monitor those types of those clashes on a, on that schedule that I'm monitoring them and the like. The meetings and the reports I'll be covering the reports I kind of already covered. The meetings specifically I'll be covering in 2 weeks' time. We talk a little bit more about pre-construction, construction, and construction administration. And finally, BIM Collaborate Pro, which is in here called Design Collaboration, both in the unified platform as well as the predecessor BIM 360. This provides access to the clash detection that we just reviewed, but again, and potentially more importantly, it also is the tool which provides the ability to work share in the cloud. In other words, that's what allows, as I mentioned, what allows Revit users to sync with Central and work on the same Revit model at the same time. As I said earlier, this is the product that most fits most designers' needs who are using Revit, for example. At its most basic level, users may not even notice a difference if having this product assigned to them, because once a central model is saved to the cloud, users can just sync their changes just as they normally would in Revit if you were saving to a central model on a physical server in the office. So if we have a team that are just working in Revit, for example, and aren't really accessing the Autodesk Construction Cloud, either Unified Platform or BIM 360, they may just be working in Revit and syncing. They may have that product assigned to them, but there may, the workflow for them is going to be exactly the same as what they're accustomed to. However, all of that being said, there are some more tools available with this, mainly for model sharing and model linking. I won't get into the nitty-gritty details of file sharing and linking, but just know there's actually a couple options depending on the workflows that your team is using. You can simply live link in other models from Autodesk Docs. That's where you would, so let's say a consultant saves their model to your site. They're working off of your site. You can then, from Revit, you can simply link in their model into your own Revit model. When you sync with Central and they sync to their model, everything is, like I said, live linked. At that point, when they make changes, you would see those changes in real time in your model. And that the idea is that would be kind of live linking. That may not always be what we want to do. I've worked for a number of different offices. Sometimes we don't want to see those changes in real time and have to chase those around on an hourly, daily basis. So what you can do, there's a more detailed workflow where your consultants or other disciplines are quote unquote publishing their model packages. And then, and then the teams can then review those packages, decide if they want or need to link in those changed models into their own models, And then the team can, what's called quote unquote, consume those updated models by downloading to a shared folder in Docs. And then you can link into your own Revit model. So that process would be more of a workflow where we receive an updated model from our consultants on, say, a weekly, a bi-weekly, or even a monthly basis, whatever the case may be. And then we're linking in a model that is a snapshot in time, as opposed to live linking process where everyone can see those changes in real time. So again, it's all a matter of what makes the most sense for your office. If you go about using the process of publishing and consuming packages, you would then be able to use this timeline tool that I'm showing on my screen up here. This is a way to view and manage various teams and models, as well as track project milestones. You can actually see here various nodes. So you can see who has published packages, when, if they've been consumed, assumed, etc. So basically, you're given the ability to track all of the deliverables between your project teams, where you can confirm that everyone was working from the most recent documents and models.